Jesus said to the chief priests and the elders of the people, "What is your opinion? A man had 2 sons. He went and said to the first, 'My boy, you go and work in the vineyard today.' He answered, 'I will not go,' but afterwards thought better of it and went. The man then went and said the same thing to the second, who answered, 'Certainly, sir,' but did not go. Which of the 2 did the father's will?" "The first," they said. Jesus said to them, "I tell you solemnly, tax collectors and prostitutes are making their way into the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you, a pattern of true righteousness, but you did not believe him, and yet the tax collectors and prostitutes did. Even after seeing that, you refused to think better of it and believe in him." My dad was very proud of his car when I was young. Not many people had them. And it was a bit of a status symbol. He'd be out there most weekends, washing it. I'd be helping. Then polishing it, turtle wax. That seemed to take an age, a lot of effort. But he was proud, and it had to gleam, and it did. He was less worried about what happened under the bonnet. He had a great technique for dealing with the squeaks and the rattles that cars make. He turned the radio on until it drowned out the noise. And if the noise got louder, he turned the radio up. And he kept doing that until the radio could no longer drown out the noise. And then there was something wrong. Then maybe he would take it to a garage and get a mechanic to look at it. But if he was unaware of the noise, if he didn't have to listen to it, then he could quite often ignore it until he couldn't. We were driving down the M6 once, going down to Liverpool, and the engine blew up. He had the radio up full to drown out a rattle that was annoying him. And then the engine blew up. The big end went. Reminds me a bit of the chief priests and the elders in the parable that Jesus told in the gospel, all about making sure that they appeared to be upright and just and respectable, that they looked to be, were seen to be keeping the law, while there was all sorts of malice, misbehavior going on the inside. But none of that really mattered to them, as long as they could distract with pious practice and people didn't see what they were really like. They're like the second of the sons in that parable, the one that says, "Yes, sir, certainly, sir, I'll do whatever you ask, sir," and then goes off and doesn't do any of it. That's what the Pharisees were like. They knew what should be done. They made a great show about doing the right thing, but they didn't really live up to it. They didn't follow through. They were all polish and shine, and they didn't care too much about what happened under the bonnet. That's not to say that the parable holds up tax collectors and sinners as models of virtue. It doesn't. I mean, what parent's delighted with a child that replies to a request to do some chore or other to hear them say, "I'll do it later. It's not my turn. You treat me like a slave." No. The parable's not about praising either of the sons, but it is more critical of the second, of the one that says, "Yes, sir, certainly, sir," but doesn't come good, doesn't follow through. One of the parishes I used to be in, there was quite a stern lady, retired teacher, a bit frosty, very severe. Didn't see her smile very often. In fact, one visitor to the parish christened her Mrs. Angry, and the nickname stuck. She was forever known as Mrs. Angry behind her back. But what very few people saw was she was one of the kindest, most generous people in the parish. She did all sorts of really good things for so many people. But people found it hard to believe that she would, because she didn't do it with a smile. She scowled. Would have been far nicer, far easier for people, for everybody, if she put a smile on her face when she was acting kindly. But she didn't. But she was, nevertheless, a good woman and did a great deal of good for a good many people. No, the parable doesn't praise Isaac's son, but it is more critical of those who hide their lack of genuine goodness with all sorts of pious practice.